So we switched to the main app since the Streamlabs app wants to link back to my other channel, which of course doesn't have live streaming. Of course, the official app is also garbage because it has crashed twice before the chat ever showed up. And I'm willing to bet it's going to crash again because this is the official YouTube app, which does not give me any way to adjust quality or output or bandwidth. So I have no idea what this is going to look like. Hello, Sterling. I don't like using the official YouTube mobile app because I have less control than with the Streamlabs app. And frankly, it doesn't look as nice on my end, on the screen. It makes the chat much smaller, so I have to, look at it, but then, of course, pay attention because, as I always say, I may do things with calculated risk, but there are many people out there that would be like, hey, you probably shouldn't live stream and drive. And I'm like, yes, but I do pay attention. The voice is now worse. That means it tells me it's going through my stereo system and not the phone mic. So I wonder if I were to kick Bluetooth off, but during the stream it may not change audio sources. I wonder. Let me try something.
Two thoughts. Now, let's see if it crashes the app or if the voice changes. Because now, instead of using the microphone up here that my stereo uses, it should be using the phone. Should. Keyword, should. Somebody said, Blue says a lot better. Good. That means it's going through the phone, not my car's, little dingle-dangle mic that hangs up there for my stereo. It's not a really good mic. It came with the radio, which came with the car, so not exactly the best quality. But it is legal for hands-free use, which is the point, because in PA and Maryland and Ohio, you're not supposed to have your phone in your hand while driving, which is why it's funny that people are like, it's illegal to stream and drive, and I'm like, well, first of all, I'm staring at the road. Both hands are free. I don't really see the technicality that it would be illegal, other than, yes, it is technically a distraction if I look at it, but let's be honest here, so is a GPS, so is a radar detector, so is your very own car stereo. They're all distractions. So if you treat it as such and don't stay at it all the time, I don't see the harm. That, and with where it is, I have to look forward, so even looking this direction, I'm still staring at the car in front of me and can see brake lights or hazards ahead, whatever. It takes more attention away to look at the speedometer than to look at the phone. Anyway, rambaloo. We're back on the road still. I haven't crossed into North Carolina yet. Sup Fitz, realized you were streaming? Yes. Balto said, did I end up taking the white van? Both of them, yeah, they're back there. I made enough room, trust me. I had to feng shui some things into the trunk to make enough space, but I got it. I got everything. I have both of Majira's suits. I have Taru. I have my suit. I have the stuff I picked up from my friends. There's 4 full suits and a partial in this car, plus luggage and whatever the heck else is back there. What up, Warrior and Per Golden Wolf? I will say the only good thing, yes, I had to play Tetris. The only benefit to using the mobile YouTube app is that I can see the chat easier because it puts a black bubble behind the text, which makes it really easy to read like that. Whereas Streamlabs, it's like white text over the screen, and I have to stare at it more. Sterling says, I followed your Twitter, now you can draw me a green tiger. I will. Now keep in mind, I can't do that till I get home, because my tablet and PC are at my house, so I apologize if it takes a hot minute. What up, Harley? And I believe Wheelie I saw pop up there. I figured while I have daylight, I'll stream, because once it gets dark, obviously you can't see anything. What's up, Triforce? And it's 7 o'clock, so I should have, give or take, an hour and a half of sunlight left. And I'm on this particular stretch of highway for another 70 miles, so I shouldn't need to look at my GPS. Keyword shouldn't. Theoretically speaking, Google should drop down and tell me if I have to make a turn. But one of these days, I'll get a separate GPS so I can stop trying to use my phone for everything. Welcome back, Rave Hyena. How are you? Notice I don't sound as terrible anymore because I actually, like, I got cough drops and I've been drinking actual liquids. So my body is not as angry, or rather my voice is not as angry. Speaking of which, the first one is empty, so number 2. About 9 hours, Velto, is what I have left. Hiya! Not sponsored. So, yeah, that last stream when I was playing all those songs, it was just like YouTube was like, email, like, hey, you used copyrighted stuff. I'm like, I'm aware, so, whatever. Battle Axe or Pole Axe? Battle Axe, they look badass. And now it's sunny again. It was cloudy earlier. It had like a sprinkle. Not quite rain. And I was like, oh, I don't need these. And then it's like, oh, hey, just kidding. It's back out again. Good stuff. What's up? I see Sparks is here. What's up, Sparks? Cheers. What up, Evie? And Sparks said if you still lived in Maryland, you'd be home. Not quite, Sparks, because I'm still in South Carolina. Sterling, it's YouTube. Because I'm using their official app, the quality will fluctuate because mobile connection. And I'm kind of in the sticks of South Carolina right now, so cell service is iffy at best. So if it ends up looking kind of blame YouTube. Because unlike Streamlabs, I cannot adjust the quality of my output on this app. Which means it's probably trying to push HD, even if the network isn't gonna like it. So if it goes pixely or 144p for a hot minute, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna sit here and talk to myself then. That is the curse of streaming mobily. How long have I been on the road? So far 7 hours, Wheelie. I left at noon. Philip, no, I actually just restarted because I was giving my phone a chance to take a break. It looks like earlier, for whatever reason, it decided not to want to charge anymore. It was plugged in, it showed a little lightning bolt like it was actually charging, but the battery kept going down as I was streaming, so I just stopped and got a new cable and made sure it went from like 1% back to like 98 while I was driving, and I'm like, alright, we'll try it again. I live in Pennsylvania, but I'm currently in South Carolina. What up, Serial Fox? I'm going to assume the next state I hit is either North Carolina. Actually, it should be North Carolina, then Tennessee. Why am I streaming? I'm bored. Straight up, I'm bored. My streams don't always have a purpose. Most times they do. Especially for people like Sterling who are new to my streams and my channel. I normally do fun stuff, like I'll play games, I'll do interactive stuff like Golf with Your Friends or Jackbox where people can join in. But mobile streams like this are more just me streaming my boring life, but it gives me a chance to feel like I am talking to other people. And hey, if you're sitting at home bored, it's interaction. You know, if you're sitting there alone in front of a computer, you're kind of talking to someone else, provided I see the comment before it disappears, because that's the other reason I hate the freaking YouTube app, is see, with the Streamlabs app on my phone, when you type a message, it comes up, and it stays there until it goes off screen. YouTube, it'll come up, and then 10 seconds, it fades. So if there's no other messages, or whatever, it doesn't get pushed off the screen, it just comes up and then fades away, and I'm like, if I don't look at it quick enough, it's like, well, I missed it. Like, there was one that I just saw pop up, and I apologize, I missed it. Brave Hyena says, when I'm home bored, I get on Furry Amino and play Trumpet via voice chat. Hey, whatever floats your goat and keeps you entertained, do it. I've actually started doing that, because like a year ago, nobody knew who the hell I was. In fact, I'm still irrelevant as hell, because, let's face it, I have 15,000 subs on YouTube on my main channel. And his channel, probably no service. This is why I don't like the official app. It's garbage. If they would just let me dial, not have an issue with it, but because they want to push out whatever quality is preset to probably 720 default app, not every cell network will support that if I'm out in the middle of nowhere. What the heck is going on here? Yeah, it'll come and go. If I can figure out a way to find, like, I want to find an app that isn't the Streamlabs mobile or the YouTube mobile. I wish there was a third-party app that still allowed me to adjust my quality settings, but not require so much bandwidth. Nobody makes one yet. That's the problem. So I'm forced into using one of two apps to stream to YouTube, and both of them are kind of garbage, in my opinion. Oh, it's not the phone's mic. That's the stream quality right there, because I'm in the middle of nowhere. No, I'm in South Carolina, not Georgia. That big hole. Don't want to fall in that. Stream does not feel so good. That is correct. That's why I can't believe they don't allow me to change quality settings. You would think for the YouTube official app I could. But alas, because it's free, you don't get the functionality. The problem with Periscope is I can't stream to YouTube, only Twitter. And most, like 90% of my following is on YouTube. Periscope, I get maybe 1/10 the watch people that I would get. Whoa, buddy. You are dumb. Don't do that. Like, why would you do that? I'll never understand people. There's a construction guy back there, and like, you know, they have the cones lined up. They're not supposed to cross that barrier into the travel lane. Dude had one of them big saws they used to cut the concrete. Just comes bebopping right out, and the guy in front of me was like, shit, and swerved, and I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you endanger yourself like this? It's not smart. Stupid. Good way to get hit by a car. That's why I never want to work construction. At least Tar's still awake. That's a plus. Every time I get sleepy, I just stare at him. This time, DV, it wasn't even a driver. It was this construction worker who, like, basically wants to die because he, like, comes waltzing out in front of a moving car with a big piece of machinery. Rocker is correct. Yeah, I know the last stream died. I deleted it. I delete every live stream after it's done, because that way I don't get nailed for copyright. But if I do a stream with no copyright, it gets left up, unlisted. It's a hard tightrope to walk. And now it's not sunny anymore. So how's everybody enjoying their last day before school? For those of you going back to school, rather. I realize not everybody has school tomorrow. I'm on the wrong side of the car. Nope, this is America, and we drive on the left. Like you're supposed to. Not like you Brits and Aussies that are on the wrong side of the car. That's why he's over there. He's Aussie. Yeah, I'd prefer not to make a third channel. It sucks. You are correct, like a good American does. It might rain again. There's an awful lot of clouds. You're not being ignored, Molten, but I can't constantly stare at the chat. I am driving. I look over every so often, and when I catch the comments, I read them. Because YouTube... I mean, I could. stream is making your life so much better. I'm glad to hear it. I do apologize, it's not one of my more fun streams, but when I'm not at home with my computer, I can only do so much. I feel like mobile streams are a much more personal experience because there's really nothing for me to do except talk to you guys. Can't stare at web browsers, play video games. I mean, I can stare at Taru, but he doesn't talk much. I think he might be taking a nap. Not really sure. How tall am I? 6'3". You were bored until I started streaming. Well, good. It's Beetle Eatle Deleedle. Yeah, Taru's taking a nap. I should have grabbed some black craft paper and made eyelids for him so he's sleeping. Because that wouldn't be creepy. At least traffic's thinned out. That was the worst. When I drove through, like downtown Charleston, traffic was terrible. Florida sucked. It was like stupid hot and humid, but it was beautiful. The con was fun. But I'm glad to be going home to a state with a much more temperate climate. I want to go around the sky. There we go. I don't know why you're in the left lane when you're gonna go under the speed limit like you're dumb. People kill me for that. Like, every state virtually has the same law where you stay on the right, pass on the left, but then there's people that want to go under the speed limit but sit on the left lane, and I'm like, alright, I'm gonna pass you illegally, I guess. Don't like doing that. It was a fun time. Oh, well, thank you. But, that was, Electric Star. Yeah, I want to make sure I got the name right. Yeah, but also, I don't know how you didn't die. Because it's hot as hell in my suit. I'm impressed. But now you understand why, like, when I say my suit is hotter than most, I mean it. Drove your mom's truck. Oh, you drove a truck while we were getting tested. Slammed on the brakes. Yeah, don't. So, that's another thing I learned over the years. I've been driving for quite some time. Because your boy's a dad. But, if you see a cop, right? Don't immediately jam on the brakes if you see a cop, like, sitting in the middle of the highway. Instead, let off the gas. And if you have the ability to downshift, or if you have a 5-speed, clutch in, go to the next lowest gear, and just coast back down to a speed that's appropriate for this highway. Because if you slam the brakes on, that is basically admitting fault that you were speeding, and cops will look for that. Like if they see like the front end of your car dive down, or they hear you squeal the tires, or if they see the brake lights, it'll draw their attention to you. But if you're around a bunch of cars and you know you're speeding, just let off the pedal, coast back down, you'll be fine. It has saved my ass plenty of times. Even today, in Georgia, I passed like 3 state troopers that were parked in the center of the highway, waiting to pop somebody for speeding. So when I saw them, I was about 1.5 miles up, I saw them sitting. They could get me with radar from there, but I just casually pulled myself down out of overdrive and let off the gas. Coasted back down to about 70, didn't even pay attention to me. No quick jerky movements, you know, no panicky brake checks. They don't care. But that's just something you learn as you drive. Or just don't speed. I mean, that's also an option. But I prefer to drive expediently, efficiently, to get where I'm going. Oh, God. I'll tell you one thing, car makes my back hurt. It's a Honda Civic. I do not, Sterling, mostly because my state, well, Maryland, where I used to live, has a lot of anti-mask laws, and so you can't wear stuff like this in public without prior, like, approval from, like, a business or something, because it will get the cops called on you, because they don't know what you're doing, and a lot of businesses and such don't like your face being covered because crime. So typically I only wear my suit outdoors at sanctioned events, whether it's a meet or maybe a park that we've scheduled a meet up and we've contacted whoever owns the property to let them know, hey, we want to do this, is it okay? Yeah, fursuiting in public is much like anything else that would cover up your face. It needs to have legal approval to avoid any sort of like backlash. So the only exception would be like my house. If I'm doing like a video and I have to go outside to like the yard or the driveway, that's fine because I'm on my property, but I still try to do it when no one else is around, like my neighbors, because I don't want to have to explain things to them. So far, downtown Pittsburgh is pretty chill with it, but that's because they're so used to Anthrocon. But I would not go much more than like 2 or 3 blocks away from the hotel, especially off season. Kiro and Bell have gone downtown to suit just randomly a few months ago. We don't walk far from the hotel because if it's outside of AC, not everyone is aware of what a furry is, and you don't have that safety of like extra people around. So in addition to legality, I don't like suiting by myself in cities because my vision is limited and it's too easy to have somebody hurt you or potentially injure you, whether on purpose or not. Like, even at AC, I almost had some douche on a bike hit me because he was riding down the sidewalk, which you're not supposed to do in a city. They have bike lanes for a reason. But he was riding down the sidewalk, not paying attention. I'm walking, you know, the same direction, but I'm ahead of him. I can't tell he's coming up from behind me. And then because I'm in suit, even if I turn my head, I have to like really turn my head to see anything behind me. And it was like a last minute, he looks up and realizes, hey, I'm there, and like has to like swerve around me. And I'm like, I don't know, it's dangerous to not have other people there, like a handler or another suitor that might be looking for you. Texas, that's why when you public suit, you have others with you just in case that happens. Yeah, that would be my main point. Regardless of whether it's legal or not, never cover your face up, never do anything like this in public without other people around. If not just for the image, but also for safety. You always want to have safety in numbers, especially if you're going to do something that can limit your vision, limit your hearing, limit your mobility, as well as in warmer climates could cause illness because, you know, heat stroke's a thing with these. I know, you know, with Sterling being new, I didn't reach on this earlier. Fursuits do get very hot inside. Some people have clocked the inside of their head at 120 degrees plus Fahrenheit. So there's a certain amount of physical endurance that comes with wearing these. You don't want to go doing that on your own outside on the off chance you suffer some sort of physical ailment because there's no one around to help you if you faint or whatever. No one's there to get you out of suit or to get you water or get you medical attention. So there again, safety in numbers. Never go it alone. You found a topic I should make a video on public suiting. I could. When there are tons of people on the sidewalk, you would just get off your bike and walk. Also a good idea. I wouldn't say that fursuits are a heat stroke death trap. It's more so it requires proper hydration and knowing your limits. If you are someone who does not do a lot of physical activity, I would not recommend jumping into a full suit in warm climates and then suiting for hours and hours and hours. Yes, you can put an inside cooling system, but then you're sort of trading off mobility for temperature control. The issue there is they only last for so long. Like cooling vests, ice packs, fans, they will help to a degree, but like batteries only last so long, cooling packs only stay cold for so long, so nothing is a permanent solution to taking a break, taking the head off, proper hydration. And some people don't realize actually eating right can play a large part in how long you can suit, because your body's natural cooling mechanisms don't survive on just water. You also need to have proper intake of nutrients and food to keep your metabolism and your heart rate and everything in check, so you don't get lightheaded or have blood sugar spikes or drops. There's a lot that goes into it. So that's why it's crazy. Like, that's one of the reasons why when I meet friends, okay, and they tell me I've never full suited or I've never fursuited, but I want to buy one, the first thing I'll do is throw them in mine in a full suit, if they want, to give them a sense of what it's going to be like, because I don't want to see someone spend $4,000 on a suit, get it, and then realize, wow, I physically can't wear this because maybe they have asthma or another medical condition that prevents them from enjoying it. Maybe they just get uncomfortably hot. It's hard to say. That's why I love what I saw at Megaplex. Balto, you might have seen this. Beta said, did I ever show you the aftermath of shooting for 2 hours as Majira? Yeah, Beta, I was there. Remember, I had to clean the suit after you at AC. I'm aware. And I shooted for 24 hours, so I can assure you, I can pretty much make a flow chart of time in suit correlating to how gross the suit's going to be. But to Beta's point, some people do sweat more than others. Beta and Majira, for instance, are two people I know that sweat more than I do, just because of your genealogy and your physiology. That means people like people like them have to be more mindful of how long they suit, proper water intake, keeping themselves maybe near a source of water or air conditioning, and maybe have somebody nearby that can help them get out of suit if necessary, if they feel the signs of heat stroke coming on. Because it's amazing to me, there are still people out there that don't know how to recognize heat stroke, because there are some early warning signs that'll happen to you long before you pass out, that if you start to feel them, that is your warning. Stop what you're doing, get out of suit, cool down, get water, whatever. First and foremost, irritability. If you stop sweating, if you start to get kind of dizzy or tunnel vision. Trevor says, I almost passed out my partial at a rave because I was in suit for almost 5 hours. Yes. To Triforce's point, perfect example. Last night, the night before last, no, was it last night? It was the night before last. It was Sunday night when I was in Majira's old suit at Megaplex. I went to the rave because I haven't done that in forever, because I'm usually too busy to go enjoy a dance. I either go drink or I go to bed. So I was at the rave and I was having a good old time, just, bouncing around, running around, hanging out with people, dancing, whatever. After about an hour, I started to get super nauseous out of nowhere. And I'm like, that's the beginning of heat stroke for me. Nausea, I started getting really weak and tired out of nowhere. Like, I wanted to keep going. Like, my brain is like, yeah, fucking, let's keep dancing, let's rage, whatever. Because, like, the music was really good. They had a banging DJ, everything. All my friends were there. Like, it was just amazing. But then every time I tried to get back into it, like, if I walked off to the side and came back, even after getting water, my arms got heavy, my legs got heavy, like, my body was just, like, not listening to me anymore, and I started getting sick, and that was my body telling me, you're going to get heat stroke if you don't stop. You're overheating. This is more than you're physically able to handle. Stop. It was finally, like, after, 10 minutes of that I grabbed Balto and went to the Headless Lounge, because I'm like, I need to stop. As much as I hate breaking the magic, especially in somebody else's suit, sometimes you have to. And I went to the Headless Lounge, I popped the head off, I sat in front of a fan, and I felt better after about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. I started to kind of come back, and I was able to suit more after that, but I had to give my body that chance to cool down. Walter says, if you start seeing static like stars, it's fine, you might pass out well and should sit down. Yes. Because, I don't even have to be sweating bad to start exhibiting signs of heat stroke, because when I was in Majira's suit, his suit breathes more than mine. It's a shorter fur, so I don't really sweat as much, but I'm still heating up, I'm still using up the moisture in my body, so I am dehydrating. I'm just not as wet as one would expect. That's why you can't always say, oh, if I'm not sweating, I'm not overheating. No, it's actually quite the opposite. It's when you're sweating and then stop sweating, there's a problem. That means the body can no longer cool down, because you're dehydrated. You don't have enough liquid in you to continue sweating safely, and your body's going to start to get too warm, and you're going to start to go into shock, or not shock, but you're going to start to exhibit heat stroke. Or there's heat stress and heat stroke. They're two different things. And something I respect about a lot of cons now is they're starting to put up the signs in the headless lounge, giving you the breakdown of the signs and symptoms of both and how to recognize them before they become a medical emergency. Not just for your safety, but to prevent needless calls to 911 and wasting medical staff's time for something that could be prevented by 5 minutes of prevention. How bad was my suit after I suited it? Not bad, honestly. Because, as I bitched about in my previous stream today, what up, Tom? Proper suit maintenance is key. Why do you think the moment you took my suit off, I sprayed him down with alcohol, isopropyl, and put him on my hang dryer? Because the isopropyl keeps the bacteria from forming and smelling, and then the dryer dries it out. It neutralizes. Now, is it a substitute for washing him later? No. But it's how you keep him smelling good throughout the con before you have a chance to take him home and bathe him properly. Which is why I made a big deal earlier about proper suit maintenance. You never get out of a sweaty suit and just throw it on the floor. It's going to smell terrible. Heat stroke or hypothermia, which is worse? Probably hypothermia, because you run the risk of losing limbs, but they can both kill you. They can both send the body into shock, and they're both preventable if you can recognize the signs and symptoms early on. That requires you to know. So something that I ask a lot of new suitors to do is 5 minutes of cursory research. Google heat stroke, Google heat stress, or heat-induced stress, and just learn the signs. And, train yourself to know, to listen to your body before it becomes an issue. Sterling, cancel. Sterling says, how do I wash my suit? So for me, because I built my suit, my bodysuit goes in the wash. The whole bodysuit, the hand paws, the foot paws, I toss them in the washing machine. A little bit of Woolite, cold water only, because warm water will destroy the fur, because remember, it's plastic. You cosplay, so Sterling, you know the material fake wigs are made out of, the Kanklin fibers or whatever it is? That's basically what fake fur is, same kind of material. It's a plastic. You do not want to put warm or hot water against it because it'll curl up and get really gnarly, much like a fake wig would. So I throw mine in the wash with Woolite and cold water only, and then hang dry it. I have a wetsuit dryer, hang them up on that bad boy, hour and a half, 2 hours later, brush them out, good to go. The head, I use a bathtub. So I'll fill a bathtub with like 4 inches of water, cold, a little bit of Woolite, put the head in, swish them around, scrub down what I need to, drain the tub, fill it with clean water, rinse them out, plop him on a fan, let him dry out, same thing. The only time you would deviate from that is if your suit has airbrushing on it, like airbrush paint markings. You cannot wash that. You have to use a damp rag, because if you wash it, the paint's going to come out. So a lot of times if you buy a fursuit or commission a fursuit, your maker will tell you how to properly wash it without destroying any of the markings or the material, because there's a lot of different fake furs. Does that not affect the inside? No, not at all. Because the inside's just the backing of the fur. My head is lined. Well, this is Majira's second character. This isn't my suit. I sort of just co-steal him a lot because I wear him and use him in videos. But his head and my head are lined, which means when you look inside the head, there's a liner made of lycra or spandex instead of just foam. Makes it more comfortable to wear, keeps a lot of your sweat from absorbing into the head, so it makes it much easier to clean. Spray him out with isopropyl, get a damp rag, wipe him out real good, and then wash him in the tub every so often. The thing with him that I'm pissed off about is the eyes. It's acrylic paint for the eyes, and the back is actually starting to fade, so I got to repaint those. That is something to keep in mind when you wash the suit. The eyes may bleed, the paint may get wet and come off. If you didn't make the suit, you need to ask the maker those questions to be like, hey, can I get this wet? Or how do I properly wash this without destroying it? Sometimes they'll tell you, don't get the eyes wet. So if you wash them in the tub, don't get water up to the eyes, just get a damp rag, scrub off whatever you need to, and then do not get the eyes wet. Other suits, I can submerge my suit, no problem. I've thrown my head in the washing machine and not had a single issue. But that's because I made him and I know what he's able to take. That happened to your Cyclops helmet you had 2 years ago. Yeah. Some paints are waterproof, some paints are not. It depends on what paint you buy. If you seal it with clear coat, if you have a sealed paint, if you have sealed eyes, like where they spray clear coat, you're fine. It's not going to hurt it. But not every suit does. It's an expensive finish. Does Under Armour help protect the suit from sweat? Yes. Not to mention, Under Armour, absolutely necessary. Do not ever, wait, let me do this the right way. Do not ever wear a fursuit without Under Armour, ever. A, it's going to be itchy as hell because the backing of that fur is very stiff and rough. You don't want that on your skin. Second reason you want to wear Under Armour, it wicks the sweat from your body, keeps it from getting into the suit, so the suit stays clean and you stay cool because the Under Armour helps control your body temperature. Final thing, wear Under Armour because if you need to de-suit, you do not want to be naked. If you pass out, if you go to the headless lounge and need to take your suit off down to your waist, you don't want to be naked under there because there's going to be people in that headless lounge with you. No, Balto. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah. And final thing, in relation to Under Armour, could you throw your arm sleeves in the wash on cold? Yes, you can. Use Woolite for detergent, it's very gentle, and cold only. Whatever your washer says, look for tap cold or cold. You do not want any hot water going in there. Otherwise, you'll destroy it. And then do not put it in the dryer. Never, ever, 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 ever put fake fur in the dryer. The only exception is if your dryer has an air fluff mode where there is no heat, it's just going to tumble it, you can do that. Should you turn them inside out? I prefer to, but I have washed my suit right side out and inside out. Never had an issue either way, but it was my suit. Every suit is different, so for safety, I would inside out. It keeps the washer from agitating the fur, so turn it inside out, safe bet you're not going to have any issues. Last thing about Under Armour. I have seen this on countless websites where people say, oh, you can just go on Amazon and buy a wetsuit to wear under your fursuit because it'll keep the sweat from getting on the fursuit. Here's the problem. Wetsuits don't breathe. Wetsuits are designed for you to go into the water to keep your body warm. If you're in a fursuit, you're going to be sweating in an already hot suit. That wetsuit's going to keep your body heat in, you're going to overheat. Do not ever buy a wetsuit to wear under your fursuit. You will overheat, you will get heat stroke, or you're going to be de-suiting every 20 minutes because you're not going to understand, why am I so hot? Why am I getting headaches? Why do I feel nauseous? Never wear a wetsuit under a fursuit, ever. If you start commissioning suits, what do you think the price range will be? I don't know. I really don't, only because I want to charge what is fair for my work, but I also don't want to undercut myself. So I can promise you, I can't charge what Lazy Loot charges, or Mischief Makers, because I'm not that big yet. I'm not that perfect yet. I don't have a repeatable, process to just bang out suits, you know what I mean? Because I don't have a dedicated studio like they do. I work out of my bedroom. So, see, I have drunk a cup of chocolate milk. My prices will be cheaper, but they're going to obviously be fair to what I feel I'm worth, because I know my quality, I know the durability of my suits, which to me is as important as how good the suit looks. What's up, Irish Wolf? I don't want to sell a suit that looks good but falls apart. I also don't want to sell a suit that looks like shit but could withstand the apocalypse. There has to be a nice balance there. So I've been toying around in my head. I do have some figures. I just don't want to release it till I am damn sure it's fair. Because that way when people do commission me, I know that they're going to be happy with what they're getting. Do you need Under Armour if you partial if you had head, arms, and feet. I recommend at least a shirt. For partial, wear the Under Armour shirt because, again, you're going to sweat from your armpits. You're going to sweat from your arms. Why let that go into the arm sleeves if you could wear something to prevent that as well as help control your core temperature? 12, if you know the guy that wears this suit a lot, the really tall guy that wears, see you, Ray Payna. If you know 12 the Lion Thing, who always wears Taru when you see tall Taru, when he wears this partial, it has arm sleeves. He used to wear it with just the arm sleeves and a t-shirt. He would sweat like crazy, and you could see it because the t-shirt would get soaked, because you would not believe having fuzzy arm sleeves can actually raise your core temperature and you sweat. I introduced him to Under Armour even when partialing. Huge difference for him. He doesn't overheat as much, it controls and wicks the sweat away, keeps his body temp normal, and it reduces the amount of times I have to wash the arm sleeves. Because when you have something sitting right in your armpit, getting sweat on again and again and again and again by different people, because this is a suit that a lot of people different wear, it's going to smell bad eventually. So wear Under Armour even if you have a partial. You had arm sleeves, no Under Armour, and it was so sweaty and sticky. Exactly. And that's the biggest thing. If you've ever, hey, I'm in Rock Hill, South Carolina. If you've ever worn fake fur against your skin, even if you just grab a hunk of fake fur and put it against your skin and hold it there, after a while it gets uncomfortable, because once you start to sweat, that backing starts to stick to you and get really itchy and uncomfortable. You don't want that, especially if you're going to be at a con, walking around, inside, outside, moving around, interacting with fursuiters. You're going to get hot, you're going to sweat, it's going to suck. So Under Armour, if nothing else, get just the long sleeve top to throw on, and then wear your arm sleeves, wear a t-shirt, wear whatever. But trust me, the Under Armour will make a huge difference in how comfortable you are wearing the suit. Where am I? Let me check my GPS a second. Let's see. Oh, can I not do it from this screen? Where am I at? I had to check my GPS again. I have 11 more miles till I have to get off this exit. All right. So anyway, fursuits. I'm very passionate about fursuits. I'm passionate about those who wear them and making sure that they last and are taken care of. So, much like my last rant about vaping. Oh, it's because I kicked the app off and back on, sorry. When I bitched about vaping in suit and the person that was just like, I'm a maker and vaping's terrible for suits, I'm like, the fuck it is. I'm also very passionate about suits being taken care of and I hate this app so much. You would think being in a major city, it wouldn't be an issue, but I guess because I kicked the app off and back on, yeah, it buffered because the app froze or whatever. It was like, whatever, I don't care. YouTube is garbage. I've often considered streaming to Twitch to see if it's any better on mobile, because I've had so many issues with YouTube. It's like, they expect your broadcast to be perfect quality, and if it's not, it just goes, I'm gonna disconnect. And I'm like, but why? Like, what is your issue? Gonna put your head on, so gotta get your balaclava, long hair gets in the way. Yes. Oh, that's a good tip for females. If you're planning on suiting, get a balaclava. It keeps your hair from falling in your face. If you don't want to wear a balaclava, get a bandana. That's what I wear. I've actually stopped wearing balaclavas because I get a little too hot and they itch my beard. So I just freaking tie a bandana around my head. The view is switched. What are you talking about? It's facing me, not that way. Ash, yes. Eventually I will make separate commissions, like paws, heads, whatever. But again, I have to get my pricing in order to do so, to make sure that, you know, it is worth what people are paying. Just haven't gotten to that point where I want to do it yet. What's up, Coma? I'm just glad my voice doesn't sound so terrible. What do you guys do at conventions? Because our conventions, we do competitions. Yeah. Sterling, we do a lot at our cons. We have competitions. We have dance comps, which are the most popular competition, where Basically, it's like a, I don't want to say talent show, but you can do freestyle dances and then get judged and win. There's also something called Floor Wars, where it's like a battle. They'll put 2 people up on the dance floor, and it'll be like one person goes, and then the other goes, and then the other goes, and the judges decide who win. There's art that happen at art conventions, like art competitions. Most furry cons are starting to get game rooms in them. So just like regular conventions, we have gaming competitions in our cons. So like people can go in or out of suit, and they can do like Smash tournaments or whatever other competition games people like to do at cons. There's really a lot of overlap between anime or cosplay cons and furry cons at this point. The only difference is furry cons have big fluffy suits and headless lounges, but there's a lot of the other same stuff. There are still panels, there are still game rooms, there are dealer rooms, you know, artist alleys, all of that stuff exists just like you would be used to with an anime con, but with the addition of fursuits. The most odd thing I've seen at a con, odd how? Odd good or odd bad? Because that could go either way. The best odd thing that I've seen at a con was a car show, where, because, you know, furries come from all walks of life, at some cons, you know, people drive to the con, obviously. A lot of gearheads want to get together with other furries who are also gearheads. They'll bring their cars and have an impromptu car show in the parking lot. And some cons have actually started sponsoring the car show, where you can actually win for like best in whatever class, aesthetic, performance, whatever. So I think that's a really cool tie-in between